This week on the Tiger Football Report, we'll be joined by the head coach of the Tigers, Rob Ambrose, to discuss the Tigers' latest game against the Tribe of William and Mary. Later in the show, we look ahead to the Tigers' final regular season game against the Rams of Rhode Island. Stick around, fans. The Tiger Football Report begins now. Hello, Tiger fans, and welcome into the Towson Sports Network studios for another episode of the Tiger Football Report. I'm your host, Spiro Marikas. The Tigers went down to Williamsburg, Virginia this past Saturday, where they took on the Tribe of William and Mary at Zabel Stadium, ranked 7th in the nation. The Tigers, determined to rock the top-seeded Tribe, both exchanged blows early, but the Tribe pulled away with the victory, defeating the Tigers 31-17. Let's see how it happened.
At their own 7. Offset eye behind the quarterback. Sabor is the second man. Long count. Kluwe back to throw. Looking, going to loft it down the far sideline. Has a man caught at the 40 and down the sideline inside Tiger territory. Midway through the first quarter. Out of the hold of the punter, Windmuller. Kick is up, and it is good. So William and Mary takes a 3-0 lead. Tigers defense gives up a couple of big plays, but they hold them out of the end zones. 4th down and 2 at the 17. Snap is down, kick is up. It's long enough, and it is good. So the Tigers have tied it at 3 apiece with 13:35 remaining here in the first half. Our score is, again, William and Mary 3, Towson 3. They split one receiver to the left, 2 men to the right. Kluwe out of the shotgun. Takes a snap, drops back, looking, fires across the middle, caught, touchdown, Kevin Hart. So 2nd and 1 coming up for Towson at their own 47. Frazier out of the shotgun with Victor standing to his left. 3 receivers all bunched here to the near side. Connor gets the snap, drops back, fakes, wants to throw, fires downfield, Dessenberg, 35 to the 32-yard line. A big play by the Tigers there, 21 yards from Connor Frazier to Andre Dessenberg. And Frazier out of the shotgun with Victor standing to his right. Connor.
They're coming. They're going to
throws
blitz.
it in
there
the
it
flat.
is.
Victor dropped the ball, and they're going to say it's a lateral, and William and Mary's going to go in for a touchdown.
Oh, my gosh.
Frazier back to pass. 5. Looking, throwing to the near side for Christian Summers. Makes the catch. Inside the 15 at the 13-yard line. Great catch, Christian Summers, and the Tigers are in business down at the William and Mary 13. I formation behind the quarterback, Frazier. Turn, give to Victor up the middle. Darius puts his head down to the 5. Darius into the end zone. Touchdown, Towson University Tigers. Kluwe out of the shotgun. Drops back to throw. Gonna go over the middle. Has a man open. Touchdown, William and Mary. Kevin Hart. Give to Sabor up the middle, 35, 40. Fumbles the football, it's loose and picked up by the Tigers. At the 48-yard line of Towson, and Jordan Minack comes up with it. I formation, pitch to Victor around the left side, cuts back in. Darius in for the touchdown, and the Tigers have cut it to an 8-point game pending the extra point. Darius Victor with his 2nd touchdown of the afternoon. 3rd down and 1 at the 3-yard line. Offset eye behind the quarterback. Turn, give to Anderson up the middle, and he's into the end zone for a touchdown.
Darius Victor finished the game with 96 yards rushing plus 2 touchdowns. And now joining me, as always, the head coach of the Tigers, Rob Ambrose. And Coach, I know there are no moral victories, but you obviously showed that William and Mary, who was the only team with 1 loss in the conference, you were as talented as they were.
Well, talent doesn't necessarily win ball games. It usually comes down to the little things, and in that game, it did. It's a struggle. You lose them, and you try to get over them as fast as you can, so you get refocused on the next opponent. But this was harder than most. William Mary's an extremely good football team. Like I said, this might be the best William Mary team I've seen in the last, I've been back for 7 years, and complete in all 3 phases of the game. And for us to have the opportunity to win, but not, because we shot ourselves in the foot and didn't take care of the little things, it's frustrating. It is. You know you could have done it. The kids in the locker room know they could have done it. It's senior day, everything's against you, but you got a chance to win the ball game and you don't. It's if you're a ball player, it's frustrating. But we got to get refocused and move forward.
You look back on that game, and there were a couple of plays. Obviously, the lateral forward pass, whatever it was, I'll comment, you won't. We still don't know whether it was a lateral or not. That led to 7 points for William and Mary. Throwing an interception into the end zone on 3rd down, on 3rd and goal at the 6-yard line. You might be able to overcome them against not quite as talented teams as William and Mary, but when you're playing against a team like that, you pretty much have to play, not a perfect game, but you've got to play a mistake-free game for the most part.
If you're playing a top 10 team, the room for error is small. As it was when we were a top 10 team.
Right.
The room for error against us is small. And, we took points off the board or gave them points possibly from nothing that they did. It's what we did, and we have to own that. I told the kids, I said, look, there are mistakes we made, they're mental mistakes, they're physical breakdowns. I said, and you can't wish those away. You have to own it. Just say, this is where I screwed up, and if you own it, then you can grow from it, and we can get better from it, and that is the goal. Connor knows, I said this in the staff meeting today in passing as we were working on short yardage goal line for this week. That ball Connor threw will haunt, from a guy who's been in the pocket, will haunt him for the rest of his life. That we didn't need it, that we knew it was a 2-score game anyhow, that we said we were going to call this play. If it was there, it was there. If not, we'd throw it out of the back of the end zone, kick a field goal, and, then it's a 4-point game. And that kind of changed things. And, Darius is a great football player who has great attention to detail most times. And whether it was or it wasn't a lateral or not, if we do what we're supposed to do, it's a non-issue, and 7 points not on the board for the opposing team. So it's teaching some of these guys, and it's funny that this is actually, while this is old hat for me growing up in a football family, for some of these guys, this is newish. Okay, so it's not somebody else's fault, it's my fault. I need to take responsibility for this. I need to learn from this. I need to do it in a way that everybody else learns from it, and then we move on. And our guys it's taken a while, but I feel like we're there.
The one thing Coach has always said is that 11 guys on the team, and they all have to do their job. If one breaks down, then the play is not going to work. We'll step aside now for a quick break. When we come back, we'll preview the Tigers' next game against the Rams of Rhode Island. The Tiger Football Report will return right after these words.
All right, listen up. Out on that field today, you will be ready for anything. And I want you to always remember, this is the greatest team you will ever be part of.
And when they're asked, what did you do to make a difference in the world? They can say, I became a soldier.
Virtual Wallet can help you be that person who's good with money. See what's free to spend, move money with a slide, save with a shake. Feel good about your decisions.
Tell your truth or trust a lie. Is this hello or is it goodbye? Is this the low or is this the high? Just let it go, enjoy the ride. Without the low, there ain't a high.
For an athlete, there's nothing scarier than a torn ACL.
Athletes trust us with their care and their careers because we're a recognized leader in sports medicine.
Get back to your active life sooner with MedStar Sports Medicine.
White Market's ice cream plant is based in Sunbury, Pennsylvania, and it's locally owned and operated. We've been making our ice cream for nearly 50 years. We create roughly 70 flavors of ice cream right now. We use local ingredients, especially our cream, which is from our milk plant. The cream is what gives our ice cream a rich and creamy texture. Now, together with our customers, we've created a product called Peanut Butter Indulgence, which will be coming out this summer. It's a peanut butter ice cream with sea salt caramel swirl, chocolate-covered pretzel. How can you go wrong with that? Personally, I love our ice cream. If you come to our house at any given time, you'll find at least 5 packets of ice cream in our freezer. Our kids grew up eating Wise quality ice cream, and now we get to treat our grandchildren to it. It's been a pleasure for me to be tasting ice cream for over 40 years to Wise Markets, and I'm loving every minute of it.
Welcome back to the Tiger Football Report. I'm your host, Spiro Marikis, joined by the head coach of the Tigers, Rob Ambrose. Penalties hurt the Tigers against William & Mary, but they look to correct those mistakes this Saturday when they take on the Rams of Rhode Island at Johnny Unitas Stadium at 2 o'clock. The game brought to you by MedStar Sports Medicine. Coach, a win against the Rams on Senior Day would get you to 7-4, and I know for coaches, and this is where it's different than in the pros, you know you're only going to have a guy for 4, maybe 5 years if he redshirts. Mm-hmm. But when that day comes, when you look at your seniors on this team, it's going to be sad for you.
Thank you, Captain Understatement.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. This is not just my job. This is my home. It's where I went to school. This is a place that helped mold the person who I am. And now these kids play football and represent the institution of which I graduated from. They represent the state in which I've lived in most of my life. They wear the colors, so to speak. And no one other than them and the people in that field house know the tremendous sacrifices that these kids make on a daily basis to be able to do what we do on that field and to take this from where it was to where it is now in the degree of respectability both in the building and nationally. So the respect I have for them, I don't even think I have words for that as an English major. And it's their last guaranteed football game. I remember as a player what that was like. And put all those things together, my love of these kids, how hard they've represented us so well for all these years, yes, this will be a difficult day for me.
And you look at the guys that are going to be playing their final game on Saturday. I remember you talking about the guys that played in the championship game and how they had taken a leap of faith to come to Towson because things were not good. Well, these kids, things still weren't good when they signed on to Towson. You hadn't gone on a playoff run or a championship run. You were in a 1-9 and or 2-9 and 1-10 seasons, and they decided to come to Towson.
It's probably what's most special about some of these classes. Like since I've been doing this, it's the guys that stuck it out. And I guess that's a good way to describe it. The ones that stuck it out have learned great lessons and had great successes, whether it be on the field or off. That I'm spending more time now dealing with references for guys that graduated a couple years ago, making phone calls for them and seeing how tight-knit our family is now. But for the 17 guys that are going to walk on Saturday, that's what's left. They're the ones that believed. They're the ones that stayed. They're the ones that lived true to the values of the program and the institution. The class was much bigger than this. And those guys are all off somewhere else. They did not want to be what it means to be a Tiger. They didn't want to live that life. These guys did. And because they did, they've had tremendous success within their careers. They've seen things in their college careers that other athletes only wish they could. And what a special feeling that is. It's great memories. And there's a brotherhood that goes with just playing. But these kids have accomplished things between having great APRs or great GPAs or playoff games or so many wins versus this team, and the list goes on. So respect, love, and a deep, unfathomable degree of just tight-knit family. I couldn't say more about them.
And they'll be playing a team that beat them last year. And I know that sticks in everybody's craw. There's going to be even more motivation for Saturday's game.
Well, I get this question a lot as you get to the end of the season, and if you're not 10-0, what's your motivation? And it's usually quite asked to me by people who never played the game. If you only have one game to play, you're going to give everything you got. You never know what's coming next. So there's that. There's senior day. When you're a senior, you want the players behind you to play their hearts out because it's your last shot in the sun. And you've done that for guys before you. But then there's a little something added special that, we went to Rhode Island last year, and to say we were beat up would be a huge understatement. And we found enough guys to put 11 guys on the field and gave it our best, but we walked away without a win. And it's not forgotten. It's not forgotten for the guys that are still in the locker room. It's not forgotten for the guys that graduated last year. And I think there'll be a whole lot of people at this game looking to see what we're going to do. And our guys are real excited about practice. Real excited.
A lot of times after a loss, that feeling will linger and linger and linger. Are you saying that this week in practice, everybody's basically forgotten about William and Mary now, and let's move on? We've got to get this one.
Well, we've done a pretty good job in the season, in that if we lost one, we got refocused, we went back and moved forward. Or even harder is when you're winning. So you're winning and everybody's telling you how great you are, and you're spending your time reading your press clippings from last week when we got somebody right in front of you. The last thing I left the guys with on Sunday in the meeting was, you're for the entirety of your life, there is so much that you cannot control. It is not what happens to you, it's how you respond to what happens to you that determines who you are and what you are. So, we lost last week. We lost a game we could have won. Now what? I guess life is pretty much, and then what? And they know what we're supposed to do, and then what? It's time to forget that one, throw it in the garbage. We learned from it, we got it. Now let's put our bullseye on somebody who needs our bullseye.
I would be remiss if I did not bring up the P word as we are heading down here to the final game of the season, and some of the prognosticators have Towson in the field with a victory on Saturday. Mm-hmm. Has that been discussed at all with the team, or you do not even mention it?
In passing, that it's not done, and there's a logic behind it that when we did this a couple years ago and only had 7 wins, we'd only been in the playoffs once in Division I and lost. Well, fast forward a couple years with 7 wins, and we've been to the national championship. Our pedigree's a lot different now. We're a name. So there is that legitimate possibility, but after that conversation was done, we got 1 game to play. We just got 1 guaranteed game to play. Let's go play our hearts out.
All right, we will talk more about that game. As coming on the other side of this break, we'll continue to talk about the Tigers and the Rams of Rhode Island. The Tiger Football Report with head coach Rob Ambrose returns right after these words.
AT&T presents the strongest of the strong.
Guys, in honor of Rivalry Week, we're going to do something special. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Did you say Rivalry Week? Rivalry Week.
Rivalry Week.
Rivalry Week.
Rivalry.
Rivalry Week.
Rivalry. Guys, it's Rivalry Week.
Strong enunciation. Desmond wins.
Who's strong enough to watch the college football playoff with Bo? Get stronger with AT&T, the network with the nation's strongest 4G LTE signal.
Vickers, Aaron's sponsored driver. He doesn't just love racing, he lives it.
We got the paper! Woo!
His pit crew follows him everywhere. Oddly, so does his boss.
Red, sign that.
Yeah! And his passion for racing is rivaled only by his passion for errands.
No credit needed. I'll take it.
Woo! Congrats.
Aaron's makes owning easy through lease ownership, so you can own the life you want. Cold refreshment calls. Coors Light answers. Frost brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer.
Welcome back to the Tiger Football Report. I'm Spiro Marikas, joined by the head coach of the Tigers, Rob Ambrose. This Saturday, the Tigers host their final regular season matchup against the Rhode Island Rams at 2 o'clock, presented by MedStar Sports Medicine. This Tiger team will have 17 seniors, and they have seen the good, they've seen the bad, they've seen the ugly. We've talked about them. Now let's talk about the Rams. This is a team that has not had a lot of success this year. They are going through a revamping program. They are a team that was going to drop out of the CAA a couple of years ago, and move into a conference that had limited scholarships, then decided to stay. So they're still seeing the pains of not having all of those scholarship players. When you look at them on film, what do you see?
Well, defensively, I see an incredibly disciplined defense. And I've said this in some fashion throughout the season and being complimentary to certain defenses, but I don't think I've seen 11 guys fit their gap and fit their scheme as well as these guys have. It's really, really impressive. And they're big up front. Like, they're strong, big, strong dudes. And, you tend to get tougher when you live in New England. There's no way to say it. You live there long enough, that's all there is to it. And on offense, they've got explosive guys. They got explosive kick return. I mean, they shot themselves in the foot a lot and put themselves in positions to not win. I used to tell the kids that you can't win a game until you get past the fact that you don't lose the game. And those guys have some players and ability and schemes and coaches to win ball games. But on occasion, they have found ways to lose games. And it's that negative karma thing that you got to get over the hump. I see them as an improved team from last year, but they're still a work in progress. And I got to give a lot of credit to Joe Trainer. When Joe was there, they tried to drop the program, and he's the one that fought the one-handed battle to keep it. And Coach Fleming's done a good job with the guys that Joe recruited, brought in some other good guys, and I see them getting better. And ask Delaware. Ask anybody who's going up to Rhode Island this year. It's a tough place to play, and those kids play really well there, but this year we got them at home.
You do have them at home, and I guess because it is senior day, it's the last game of the year, if this was game 8 or game 9, your guys may not say it, but mentally in the back of their mind thinking, well, we're not going to lose to these guys. But since it is the last game and there is extra motivation, maybe those thoughts don't creep into their minds.
They beat us last year. Enough said. That's all there is to it. They beat us last year, and we owe them.
You owe them?
We owe them, yes.
Well, they try too. I mean,
we owe them. No, I mean, it's the truth. If you forget your past, you're doomed to repeat it. We went up there with whatever we had, and we gave it a chance. But not going to the playoffs and having so much trouble with leadership last year and being beat up, it was a perfect setup for us to lose that game. And our guys have not forgotten that. And the name of the game is to win it. You'd say all the moral victories and the lessons you learn, but the name of the game is to win. And my dad once taught me a long time ago, if you win your first one, you win your last one, and you never lose 2 in a row, you got a chance at having a pretty good season. Well, this is the last one guaranteed, so let's make sure we win it.
That's right. Let's talk about some of your seniors. On the defensive side, John Desir had struggled with injuries early on, but as the year has gone on, we're seeing more and more of the real John Desir. Your strong safety, Donnell Lewis, who I think should be first team all-conference, has had a tremendous season. Talk about those two guys a little bit.
Well, you just talked about the backbone of the defense, up front and behind. John is the confidence built. Like, John takes up more than one gap. He's so good at what he does, we trust him enough to play offense on occasion. He knows everything there is to know about the defensive front, and he mentors all those other great young players that you're seeing show up now. Donnell's the guy. He's the glue. He's the one that keeps it going. When there's a movement on the offense, he's making all the calls, and he's making it so all 10 guys in front of him know exactly what to do. And he's really grown in that. I guess, what was it? There was one game where Donnell came out and got injured, and somebody just asked me before the game, is 15 going to play? Is 15? That's all they cared about. Was 15 going to play? Like, yeah, 15's going to play. Like, oh, okay. And you can just see the visual depression set in. He's one of the hardest hitting people I've ever met per size. And he's electrifying with the ball when we put it in his hands. So, they've done a great, great job.
You look on the offensive side, and one guy that nobody ever talks about in the media because it's not a flashy position, Jake Shonky. He's your only senior on the offensive line. He's been through the wars with, I probably should have counted, how many guys has he played with on the offensive line? It's been a lot. And this kid stuck through it all and has done a great job for you.
Well, let's just call it what it is. He is, from the time we listed a 2 deep for the East Carolina game, he is the only guy to play and start on the offensive line for the entire year. How's that for a statement? That just tells you how tough the guy is. And he refuses. Now, don't get me wrong. He's beat up just like everybody else. But he refuses to come out. That his love of this team, this school, and this program are so great, there is no way. He would fight me before I let him come out of the game. That's how committed he is.
You'd probably lose.
Safe bet. Very safe bet. But he's teaching these kids. He's teaching them schematic stuff, technical stuff, because he's the old man in the group. But he's also setting an example and modeling what it is to be an offensive lineman. It's not flashy. It's not sexy. Nobody out there, Shonky, yeah, I heard that name, you know what I mean? But without him, we don't exist. And he's putting that kind of toughness and pride back in the mix, and it's fun to watch what happens.
We can't wait to see what happens this Saturday. We have to take one more break. We'll be back with more of the Tiger Football Report right after this.
Virtual Wallet can help you be that person who's good with money. See what's free to spend, move money with a slide, save with a shake. Feel good about your decisions.
For an athlete, there's nothing scarier than a torn ACL.
Athletes trust us with their care and their careers because we're a recognized leader in sports medicine.
Get back to your active life sooner with MedStar Sports Medicine.
AT&T presents the strongest of the strong.
Gentlemen, today's feat of strength, who has the strongest profile pic?
That's me, climbing Kilimanjaro.
Strong.
That's me finishing my third triathlon.
Very strong.
That's me. I took it at the mall.
Who's strong enough to watch the college football playoff with Bo? Get stronger with AT&T, the network with the nation's strongest 4G LTE signal.
Welcome back to the Tiger Football Report. Coach, thanks and good luck against Rhode Island this Saturday.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to seeing you and everybody else out there celebrating our seniors. And let's send them out the right way. God knows they've earned it.
Hopefully we're not sending them out for long. As we have mentioned, the Tigers will be at home for their final regular season game when they host the Rhode Island Rams at 2 o'clock. You can purchase your tickets online at towsontigers.com or call 1-855-TU-TIGER. If you can't make it to the game, make sure to tune in live on towsontigers.com starting at 1:30 or on CBS Sports Radio starting at 1:45 with the pregame show with myself and Gordy Combs. That's going to do it for this week's episode of the Tiger Football Report. For head coach Rob Ambrose, I'm Spiro Marikis. Have a good week, and as always, go Tigers.